Hello, everyone. It is Monday. I hope you have had a great, productive day. It is Monday, 6 o'clock Eastern, and as I promised, we would be doing a deep dive tonight into three critical pieces that go into your weight loss. We're going to talk about macronutrients. We're going to talk about targeting belly fat. Is that even possible? And plus, we're going to be talking about intermittent fasting. But here's what's really important. I want you to use this time, our time together, as an interactive live. I know that I can't hear you, you can only hear me, but at the end of the day, I want you to post your questions as we go along. I will answer them as best possible. If by chance there is a question that I didn't ask, please feel free at the end of this to shoot me a quick DM, either here on Facebook or on Instagram. And I will do my best to answer it there. So welcome. For those of you guys who don't know, my name is Martha Van Camp. I am the head coach and founder of BeMarthaFit, hence the name. We have been working with thousands of clients every single year for about the last 5 years. I personally have lost 104 pounds and now have settled at a very good, healthy mindset, healthy weight for my height, which is 6 foot. So each month we work with anywhere from 300 to 500 clients a month in two areas of weight loss. Either one with a 3-week challenge, which we call Be Fast, which does involve intermittent fasting, and we'll talk about that. But then also for those people who have 20 plus pounds, and we go all the way up to about 150 pounds that people need to lose. We also provide a 12-week program. So again, I am the head coach. I was literally my very first client 8.5 years ago, I dare say. And it is a daily journey. No matter where you are in your journey, whether you're just starting or you're 6 months into a weight loss journey, it is always a journey that never ends, literally, until the day we die. Or as I've said to many people, maybe when I'm Betty White 90, then I won't care so much. But I want to talk to you guys tonight so that we can get on a solid ground so that you guys can have a little bit of my knowledge as you go forward with your journey. And let's start with some macronutrients. As many of you guys know, I have a publishing deal, which is so incredible, and we are on a very fast track to finishing the book so that it can be published very soon. But one of the things, in order for the readers and now you guys to get on the same page, is we have to talk about macronutrients. And listen to me, if you have been for your entire lifetime counting calories, you've been doing it wrong. And the one example I will always give is this. First of all, let me just say this. All calories are not created equal. And by now, you should know that. But let's just take one quick example. Let's talk about oatmeal versus Pop-Tarts. Now, don't get me wrong. I would love Pop-Tarts just as much as you. In fact, when I was a little kid, I would come home from school and I would take 2 Pop-Tarts and pop them in the toaster with the frosting side down. And then when they came out, I would put on the cake side butter. Yeah. Talk about a great combination of sweet from that strawberry filling and salty from the salted butter. Oh my gosh, that was heaven. So if you've been counting calories your whole life, you have been doing it wrong. So sorry, but we're going to teach you the right way. So not all calories are created equal. When you think about Pop-Tarts, it's about 200 calories per pastry versus having oatmeal with a little bit of protein, whether that's a scoop of whey protein to add some flavor after it's microwaved, or serving it with a couple side of eggs. You're dealing with about 200 to 300 calories there. Your body will know how to respond, how to metabolize, and how to digest oatmeal versus the processed food of Pop-Tarts. So that's why I want to say, if you look at all these foods and they're ish about the same calories, and all you've been doing is counting calories, you've been doing it wrong. But hey, let's talk about how to do it right. So let's talk about the importance of macronutrients and what the heck are they. There are 3 main ones. Protein, complex carbs, and healthy fats, all right? The protein, your body needs every single day, protein, lean protein, so that it can repair and restore your body. Whether you're sitting all day long or you're running around all day long, your body is at stress. It is going. Your body, therefore, needs protein throughout the day to repair and restore it. Then you have 2 other macronutrients, complex carbs and healthy fats. Those 2 are energy sources, but they provide energy in different ways. Complex carbs, rice, couscous, quinoa, sweet potatoes, provides your muscles with energies. And healthy fats, think nut butters, oils, hummus, avocados, those healthy fats, even some meats or fish, think steak, think salmon. Those have a little bit more fat on them than like a lean protein would. Those healthy fats are energy for your organs. So here's what I want you to take away and be thinking about your macronutrient questions now. I want you to think about each meal. The biggest priority for each meal is going to be your protein. Protein is always first priority. After that, I want you to pick an energy source, either complex carbs or fats, not both. If you have a very high percentage of both complex carbs and healthy fats, that could lead you to gaining weight. You have way too much energy. So really think about prioritizing your meals first. Protein first, then an energy source. Pick either complex carbs or healthy fats. Don't pick a high percentage of both. So I know a lot of you have been on a journey with me for a long time, maybe a couple of weeks. So let's really talk about some specifics for you. So if you ever wanted to do this, meaning lose weight on your own, also, please keep in mind, losing weight is very hard, very emotional, and so it is very difficult to do it by yourself. So if you've been doing it by yourself and continually falling on your face, don't feel bad. Do not feel bad. It is very hard to do hard things all alone. When it comes to losing weight, I tell clients all the time, or even prospective clients, I can give you a food plan and you can march on your merry way, and that will net you very likely a 90% failure rate. Yes, you have one tool in your hand. You have a great food plan, but executing it all by yourself, dear friend, that never goes well. We were never meant to do hard things on our own. You need daily motivation. You need daily accountability. That's why joining up with us is always a great choice, because you get all those other pieces of the puzzle. Now, I'll tell you this, a client who joins us has the food plan, has the community support, has the accountability of weigh-ins. They have a 95% success rate. Why? Because they have all the pieces to the puzzle. So let's talk about a really good starting point for you if you're thinking about doing this on your own and creating your own food plan. It is very widely known and respected by weight loss professionals that a 40-40-20 split in your macros is a great starting point. But let me clarify. That's 40% of your entire day needs to be focused on lean proteins. The other 40% is complex carbs. And then the last 20% would be your healthy fats. So if you think about the landscape of your day, and I told you to focus primarily, number one, on lean proteins, then I asked you to pick a energy source. Many weight loss professionals will start you with 40% protein, 40% complex carbs, and then 20% of your food needs to be healthy fats. But I want to talk about the exception here, because I have seen a massive influx of women who are going through menopause who've come my way, or in their 40s approaching menopause. Remember, it's like a decade of your hormones drastically shifting before you actually do go into menopause. And I've seen a massive upswing with women who have been diagnosed with PCOS, that's polycystic ovarian syndrome, and also a massive influx of women diagnosed with insulin resistance. And here's what that means to you guys. So if you've been diagnosed as PCOS, insulin resistant, or you are approaching or in menopause, let me give you a different way to attack your daily macronutrients. Instead of a 40% protein, 40% complex carbs, and 20% healthy fats, I want you to think of it this way. 40% protein, protein's still the priority. 40% healthy fats, 20% complex carbs. So many women in their mid-40s up through their 50s And those who have been diagnosed maybe in their 20s or 30s with polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS, are very insulin resistant. It just simply means, in the most non-scientific term, it just simply means that your body no longer metabolizes, digests, or processes complex carbs the way that it should. So if you are in your mid-40s, mid-50s, if you are thinking about that M word, menopause, I want you to really think about, if you are trying to do this on your own, I want you to really think about making your macronutrient split 40-40-20. That's 40% protein, 40% healthy fats, 20% complex carbs. If by chance, just a quick disclaimer here, if by chance you have been dominant with your complex carb energy source and you switch over to a dominant healthy fat energy source, the one thing you may notice is that you don't feel full as fast. The healthy fats don't satiate, if you will, as quickly as a complex carb will. So let's review. If you guys have questions about macronutrients, I know this is like, wow, this is a lot of good information, but how do I implement it? Please ask your questions now about macronutrients. I will answer anything that you have, but remember, I want you to focus on either a 40-40-20 split, meaning 40% lean protein, 40% complex carbs, 20% healthy fats, or I want you to think of it differently, 40% protein, 40% healthy fats, and then 20% complex carbs. So those are really your first two go-tos when it comes to trying to create your own plan by yourself. I know it's a lot of information, so if you have questions about macronutrients, post them now and I will answer them as quickly as possible. All right, let's talk about probably the big thing that every woman, maybe some men, want to know, and that is targeting belly fat. So let's just talk some big generalities here. It is very difficult, if not impossible, to target one area of fat in your body. Your body doesn't necessarily know, oh, Martha wants to attack all the fat in her belly, or oh, Martha doesn't like her legs today, so we need to attack those. Like, let's drain those fat cells. Wouldn't that be nice? It doesn't work that way. The one thing, but let's just say this, most women in their 40s and 50s, maybe even in their 20s and 30s, they are always complaining about their belly. That is always the thing that women want to complain about. Look, I get it, 100%. If you are on a very whole food, nutrient dense, one of the BeMarthaFit food plans, if you're on one of those, rest assured that you are eating exactly what you need to be eating in order to attack those fat cells. Here's the thing to keep in mind though. If you are a woman, again, I keep coming back to premenopause, menopause, postmenopause, that decade of like early to mid 40s and up. That's generally where we get a lot of our clients from, which is awesome. That is a decade, the 40s and above is a decade where women are back to thinking, okay, wait a minute. I've given all I could to my family, to raising my kids, to my career. It's time to put me back on the to-do list. We actually talk quite a bit about that in the book that's coming. But all that said, in your mid 40s, what ends up happening for a lot, if not the majority of women, is that you end up, your hormones are changing, so you end up having an estrogen dominance and your progesterone is a little bit low. So here's what often will happen. When your estrogen is a little too high or a lot too high, you will end up holding water in certain areas of your body. And women, for you, this is going to be your belly. If you are on a solid food plan and you see the scale go up 2 pounds, down 2 pounds, up 1 pound, down 3 pounds, if you see this crazy roller coaster day after day after day, and you know you're following a solid food plan, that is quite often the first thing when a client complains about that scale going up and down and up and down and up and down. It's like it's bipolar. When a client complains about that, quite often I will say, when was the last time you had your hormones tested? And if there seems to be a little bit of estrogen dominance because they're carrying the majority of their weight in their belly, then there are supplements that we can talk about that help reduce or somewhat block the extra estrogen that you're carrying around. And if you want information on those supplements, shoot me a message after this and I'll send you details. My only disclaimer with supplements is this, twofold. Number one, you got to fix your food first. Otherwise, if you're just trying to pop supplements on top of a crappy diet, nothing's really going to change. But number two, always check with your healthcare professional, your doctor, just to make sure that the supplements I know that work don't interfere with any prescription meds that you take. So that one always has to be said. I am not a doctor. I am simply a master wellness and weight loss coach. We have registered dietitian on our staff, but at the end of the day, my registered dietitian nor I are a doctor, so you've got to check with your doctor on that. So quite often we can reduce and therefore help the belly fat area through supplements. But that is only secondary after you are on a very solid food plan. I will just say this, through extreme cardio or consistent cardio and resistance bands or resistant training, you can do quite a bit more to reducing your belly, but realize it is food first. Also make sure that you don't have some wackadoo hormone imbalance, because that could be contributing to the belly weight. And then really start thinking about cardio and resistance training. Both are great for this. But it is very difficult, if not near impossible, to spot reduce your fat cells. So sorry to break that news to you, but there are things that you can do to assist. But it's not like you can say, I just want to work on my belly this week. It's not going to work that way. Also keep in mind that in general, I'm going to drop a truth bomb right here. In general, our fat cells are not evenly distributed through our entire body. If you really take a close look at your own body in the mirror, you may find one area, or you may already know, one area of your body that seems to hold a little more weight than the other. It very well could be that you have a disproportionate amount of fat cells in that area. Let's use a really good example. We all have that one friend who has the skinniest legs, the tiniest legs, and then she seems to carry the majority of her weight in her belly. This is a really good example of the fat cells not being evenly distributed within her own body, right? So she may have very few fat cells in her legs, but a disproportionate amount in her core, in her midsection, in her belly. I want you to keep that visual, because each one of us, while you may not be that drastic, each one of us has that area. For me, I talk about this all the time, it is my legs. They are just slightly larger than the rest of my body. Does it drive me nuts? Yes, it does, but I choose to focus on the 90% good and not focus on the 10% that's bad. Otherwise, I, just like you, would be hyper-focused on the 10% bad, and that is not a way to live life. So let's review. We've talked about macronutrients. We've talked about targeting belly fat. Very difficult to do. The one thing you may want to consider is extra cardio, extra resistance training. Yes, that will help. But just to say, I want to focus on my belly, no. But ladies, listen to me. If you are in your 40s through 50s, you have a whole lot of hormonal warfare going on in your body. So there very well could be some supplements that could help you. A couple off the top of my head, and again, if you want more details, message me, or you can ask your questions right here. I'm ready to take your questions. We could talk about DIM, which is an over-the-counter supplement. You can find it on Amazon. An even better one from that is something called estrofactor that helps as well. And on top of that is leptosense. So these three are three that are always in my arsenal, and absolutely, because I know where my hormone levels are. I am on, very honestly, a cream for some of my hormones, but above that, I still take these supplements. So again, if you want more information on that, let's talk about it. All right, you guys, the last thing I wanted to cover tonight, and I'm available for questions, is intermittent fasting. This is such an incredible way to either jumpstart your weight loss journey or to even continue it. I have told a number of clients lately that the only way that I can get some of our clients, including myself, off of weight loss plateaus is to implement, at times, intermittent fasting. Now, we do have a 3-week program called BeFast. The next round of BeFast starts October 12th. That's 2 weeks from today. 2 weeks from today. We have tons of people registering right now. We always have repeat clients. Why? Because every single month the menu changes. So nothing gets repeated. It's always a lot of fun. This time, starting October 7th or October 12th, we're starting with a 7-day detox with all of our foods. So I quickly want to wipe away any sugar cravings and alcohol cravings that you may have very, very quickly. But intermittent fasting, there are so many ways to execute intermittent fasting. The way we do it, which is widely used all across all weight loss platforms, is a 16-8 intermittent fasting protocol. That simply means you're going to eat all your meals in 8 hours and you're going to fast for 16 hours. A lot of people hear 16 hours of not eating and they want to freak out. There's no need, because those 16 hours also include your sleeping time. So do not worry if you're thinking, oh my gosh, there's no way I couldn't eat for 16 hours. Think about it. You're probably in bed while you may not be asleep for all 8 or 9 hours, but you're probably in bed relaxing or sleeping for a good 8, 9, 10 hours. So that compromises, or that includes a whole lot of your fasting time. In those hours where you do not eat, you're of course drinking water, some coffee, some tea, so you always have something. But we do consolidate eating all the meals into an 8-hour window. This helps for so many reasons. 1, helps regulate your hormones. 2, helps keep your blood sugar very stable throughout the day. And there is so much research that, at the 4-hour point, the 8-hour point, the 12-hour point, the 16-hour point of fasting, what your body is doing to repair itself. So if you've at all considered, oh my gosh, how do I execute intermittent fasting? I would welcome you to join us for our 3 weeks of intermittent fasting called BeFast. Registration is open right now. Early bird pricing is open right now. You get everything you need for $72. That's 3 weeks of coach-guided intermittent fasting with your meal plan and your recipes. That is open right now if you just go to the website, BeMarthaFit.com. If you have never tried intermittent fasting, this is the way to go. It's the way to dip your toes to think, can I really do this long term? But also, it is a really great way just to mix things up if you've tried other programs, or if you're a client of ours and you want to just try something completely new. This is a way to do it. Helen is asking, where do you go for hormone testing? Does a primary care provider do that, or do you need a specialist? That's a great question. Yes, of course, your primary care physician, your PCP, can do your hormone testing. It is very fascinating to think about, obviously they're very different. So you might get a more in-depth test via your OBGYN. The other person I would really strongly suggest that you guys think about finding in your area, if you're local to me down in Florida, I can help you with that. If you are up in Virginia, I can help you. No matter where you live, I can help you. So if you want help finding this next person, message me. I think it is very, very critical to find a doctor who will treat the whole. And without going into a whole nother science discussion, when we talk about wellness, or we talk about weight loss, there are 4 spokes to that wheel, right? And so Helen, I'll get to the good answer to your question in just a moment. When we want to talk about weight loss, there are 4 pieces that play into that: your thyroid health, your hormone health, your adrenal gland health, and then your mitochondria. And the mitochondria, you're like, what the heck is that? Mitochondria is actually the energy piece in your cell that tells your body what to do with the food that you just ate. So coming back to where do you go for hormone testing? Sure, if you're PCP, and if they're a very forward-thinking PCP, that's great. Or your OBGYN, and if they're very forward-thinking and very aggressive, then that's also great. I have found in my history of being on this earth for almost 49 years that neither those two doctors have very much served me well. So I have spent a lot of time finding an integrative or functional medicine doctor. That is a person who is going to not only examine your thyroid, but your hormones, your adrenal glands, and your mitochondria, because all four of that fall into place together. And if most doctors just want to attack the thyroid issue or just want to talk and solve the hormone issue, they don't want to treat the whole. So I would really encourage you guys, if you want to get down to brass tacks, start looking, go to Google and start looking for an integrative medicine doc or a functional medicine doc. A lot of times these are doctors who are very forward thinking and not only operate from a Western medicine concept, but also bring in Eastern medicine as well. And that is where I have found a beautiful relationship between a doctor and a patient when we can treat the whole, and there's a combination of Western and Eastern medicine. So that's my very long answer, Helen, but I think it was a very great question because I know that a lot of our clients often get disappointed with the results or how their PCP or their OBGYN wants to handle what they believe is a hormone issue. There are so many tests that need to be run. And again, I just would really encourage you to find an integrative doc or a functional medicine doc. All right, so we have covered macros. We have covered belly fat. We have covered intermittent fasting. Terry has a great question. Would one do the fasting during their 12 weeks on your eating plan? Absolutely. That is an option. Terry, oftentimes when we have a long-standing client who is continually having issues either with hitting a plateau or their body is just not responding how I believe it should be responding, the very first question always is, are you on plan and are you drinking your water? And so if we can safely say that they are on plan and drinking their water, then what I do is systematically introduce parts and pieces of intermittent fasting with the 12-week program. So when I say parts and pieces, sometimes when they hit a plateau, there's two ways to go. Either give them a little more fuel or have them do a 24-hour fast. And again, all these choices and decisions come down to me looking at the quantitative data that we've gotten from them in our back office as they weigh in, and really me personally breaking it down and saying, okay, what is next? What needs to be next? But if we ever have a client who wants to come over to the program and do the customized program and implement intermittent fasting, we are all ears and totally up for it. So yes. Susan's saying, is this similar to the keto diet? Susan, I'm assuming you're asking if intermittent fasting is similar to the keto diet. The short answer is no, however. So let me back into this because that's a fantastic question. First of all, I am not a big proponent of the way America does the keto diet. If you break it down and you get to the root, the best way to do the keto diet is really to go back to the Mediterranean diet, which focuses on lean protein and healthy fats. Sound familiar? So I hate what America has done to the keto diet. It's just essentially eat all the fat and I will get skinny. Well, every time I have a client who has done keto, they couldn't sustain it long term, and so they gained a lot of weight and now they want guidance, right? That is my problem. No matter what you choose, no matter what diet, what nutrition program you choose, you've got to always say, is this sustainable the rest of my life? And quite often the way America does the keto diet, it is not. Okay, so all that said, let me say two more pieces, Susan, just to kind of address this keto issue. When someone does intermittent fasting and you execute the 16-8 protocol, remember I said we are at 16 hours of fasting. When someone does that, around the hours of 14, 15, 16, your body does go, Susan, listen, into a ketosis state. 100%. It does. And that's a really great thing. But going to a ketosis state is important, but what is also even more important is what you're eating, right? So that's why I believe intermittent fasting is so fascinating and so effective. Any real plan that you're executing long term is fascinating and effective because you're doing it consistently. But so there is a ketosis component into that 16-8. Now, the last thing I'll say is this, Susan, to answer your question. When we do a 40% protein, 40% healthy fats, 20% complex carbs, some clients look at that and it feels familiar. And they're like, oh, this looks like keto. In some aspect it is, because we have made the healthy fats the primary energy source and we've made the carbs very low. When we issue clients these types of food plans, again, it is because they're having a hormone issue, because they have been diagnosed with polycystic ovarian, or they are insulin resistant. So there is a reason for us, scientifically, for giving them more of that healthy fat, which for some does look like keto. Susan, I hope that answered your question probably more than you wanted to know, but I think it was a great question. Kimberly's saying, do you recommend staying on intermittent fasting versus going to the 12-week plan after you do your first intermittent fasting? Kimberly, there's no wrong answer. The way I always approach this with someone who asked this, because again, that's another great conversation to have, is what are your goals? And how much weight do you still have to lose? How much weight do you still want to lose? How much accountability do you want? Do you want a coach by your side? Do you want someone who's kind of up your butt on the daily? Do you want someone to talk you through a plateau? So how much coach interaction do you want? Do you want multiple meal plan revisions? And how much weight do you have to lose? So let's say you have 40 or 50, or even let's say you have 30 or more pounds to lose. Then I would say, yes, you should go over to the 12-week customized plan program. We're going to literally hold your hand. And if you like the concept of intermittent fasting, again, as I said, we can work that into your 12-week plan. So again, if you want high accountability, if you want multiple plan revisions, not just one meal plan, and you really want someone to guide you through 30 plus pounds to lose, absolutely you should come over to the 12 weeks. That is the way to really learn how and what to eat for the rest of your life, literally. Fabulous question. All right, I hope I haven't overwhelmed you, but I want you to take away some really key points here. So I'm going to review those key points. If you guys have any last minute questions, ask them now. This is the perfect time. But remember, as you approach making your own meal plan, you have to focus on macronutrients, not calories. And those macronutrients are lean proteins, complex carbs, and healthy fats. And remember, your energy source is a choice of complex carbs or healthy fats. Don't stack up on both. Protein first, then pick an energy source. There's a reason to manipulate those energy sources based on age, menopause, hormones, PCOS, or being insulin resistant. All those things constitute really manipulating the energy source to being higher fats and lower complex carbs. Additionally, we talked about belly fat. It is super, super insane just to think, oh, I'm going to be able to attack this belly fat. We talked about the distribution of fat cells and how that's not equal throughout our body. Don't be deceived. But there are things you can do. And if you're dealing with an estrogen dominance, or you're in that early to mid 40s to 50s, you should be thinking about hormone testing and then perhaps some supplementation. Message me if you have questions about that. And we also talked about intermittent fasting and the benefits of it. So Terry's asking, do you do more customized plans than the 4 ounces of protein and 2 veggies like we do for breakfast? Yes, when someone comes over as a full-time client, and we can constitute that as someone who's coming over for the BeMarthaFit 12-week program or beyond, we do a whole lot more onboarding, and we really work with you to determine what you like and don't like. But keep in mind that your building blocks for lunch and dinner will always be protein, vegetables, and perhaps an energy source of either complex carbs or fats. All right, last call for questions. You guys, I hope I haven't overwhelmed you. You have asked incredible questions. I am going to make sure that this video lives here. We will pin it to the top if you want to come back, watch it again, perhaps ask other questions. You are always free to message me on Facebook, or if you prefer Instagram, we're there as well at BeMarthaFit. Super easy to find me, but please just keep in mind that none of this will work unless you choose to put you on the top of your priority or your to-do list on a daily basis. That is so important. All this is great information, but unless your mindset changes that you want to put your health and your wellness on the to-do list every single day, none of this matters. So think about that first before you ever jump in to a new program. Think about, okay, am I ready to consistently, day in, day out, make myself a priority? If you guys need anything else, message me. Kimberly says, thanks for your time. Absolutely. Can't wait to get started on October 12th. Either can we. I love the October 12th food plan. Everything fall and yummy and like cinnamon and apples all sounds so good to me right now. I hope you guys have a great night. If you want to, you can share this. Again, message me if you have any questions. Have a wonderful evening.